Welcome to today's live, diving into being more than just another expert and why only being an expert is going to cost you in 2025 and beyond. Might get some heat from this. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the comments, ready for the likes and dislikes, but here we are. All right, so what does it mean to be an expert? We already kind of see what an expert, quote unquote, looks like. Lots of content, lots of dudes or gals like me just posting all day. I guess that's part of being an expert, but what does it mean to be a true expert, and how do we move beyond just that? I had this in one of the cohorts that I ran for agency owners. They would come and they would ask me. This was almost in every single one-on-one call that I had with them. Is how do I move from being a vendor to actually building not just a relationship, but being a strategic partner with my clients? And I was surprised to hear that over and over again with nearly every single person in the cohort. And I think that cohort we had either 8 or 9. I forget how many people. But anyways, so why does it matter to be a strategic partner versus just an expert? Because expertise, essentially anyone can pose to be an expert and a subject matter expert, especially now with the age of technology and leveraging AI and just seeing like we have too much information disposed here. So how do you move from expert to strategic partner to someone that trusts? I don't have all the answers, but this is what I personally do. And I hope that this can add value for you and how you're planning to move from just being an expert and actually moving to being a trusted partner with your clients. Number one is you got to actually do the stuff that you say you're doing. Like, I only work and help people do things that I've either done before or lived through an experience. I do not teach people how to fly planes. I don't teach people how to go from uh, literally going to 100 million. I've never done that. I don't teach people managing 1,000 employees because I've never done that. I don't teach people how to software code. I've never done that. But what I have done, I learned, and I learned getting kicked in the teeth. I call it that, but it's essentially you learn through going through it. You learn through experience. And I've packaged that up, and I not just teach it, but I work with people to implement it and apply it to their situation so that they can go ahead and get a result or an outcome in their business and their life. So that's the first thing. You got to actually go do it. You can't just start up. You see those ads and people tell you like you just start up this company, pretend to be an expert, fake it till you make it. Great. It's not the case. You got to actually do it. You got to get in the ring. You got to go in, as I say, go in the arena. Go out there. So number one, it's actually do the stuff that you're helping people do. Number two, and this is more of a nuance and it's kind of obvious, but unfortunately it's not common practice. It's you actually have to have the other person's best interest in mind. How do you do that? How do you actually do that without just saying it? Here's what I do, and again, this is not perfect. I'm not saying model this. This is just an example. What do I do personally? Number one is I put my money where my mouth is. When I work with clients or I work with new clients, I literally tell them if this is not going to align with what you're trying to achieve, I'm literally going to give you your money back, even after spending 40, 60 days with you. Why? Because I only want to work with people, one, who are serious, and that's one way for me to share, to filter people who are serious about achieving or going to their goal, their destination they're looking to achieve. And number two, it's my way of saying like, okay, like I know what I can do, and I know what's possible, and I know what we can do. I'm not here to play around. Are you here to play around? Great. You're not? Excellent. Let's do this together. And no one's refunded that. Why? Because it's not about the refund. I had a client tell me like I was never going to refund or ask for my money back. Just when I commit, I commit. I'm like I know that's the type of person that I attract. And she told me that on the call where she could have asked like, hey, this is not going to work out, but she didn't. Why? Because you got to bring the goods. I bring the goods. But that's the second thing. Having their best interest in mind. How else can you demonstrate that? Maybe when a client is asking you for referrals or introductions, or hey, who do you know in your network that does X, Y, and Z? Literally seeking either A, people in your network, and B, people who are not just going to be affiliates or pay you. Yes, it's great to have referral partners and getting paid for introductions that become clients and having affiliates. That's great. But that's not your main source of business. Your main source of business is the client who needs support. And if you tell the client, hey, this is who I think would be the best fit, if I were in your shoes, here's the ones that I would personally hire. And also, I don't have an affiliate or referral relationship with them. Not because I don't want to. And sometimes the clients don't care. Like, if they do, like, great, more for you. But really, you want to be able to detach yourself from only doing things that are going to feed your bank account. Because you are going to fill that bank account by doing these things that don't feed your bank account. Like, it's like an oxymoron. Again, here I am going on a silly little rant. The third thing, what would be the third thing if I were to add a third thing? So building trust, building the relationship, and I think really just connecting with that's probably because I have the a framework of the two R's of LTV. The two R's of lifetime value with clients is results, which we just talked about, doing what's best for them, making sure that you put your money where your mouth is, or what this is what I do, and then relationship. And a lot of people either they have a lot of results but zero relationship, no LTV. Some people have incredible relationship but can't perform, zero LTV. Like they'll have very limited LTV and high churn. You gotta balance both, and it's both a science like the results piece, and then an art, the actual relationship piece, being human, actually connecting with them on a human level, understanding who they are, what's their perspective. There's a strategy that I go through in my book Growth Plan. If you want a copy of it, just DM me. I'll give you the audio, what's it called, the PDF, for free. It's on Gumroad. Anyways, there's a framework that I work with clients, and I call it the inner dialogue framework. And every human goes through this because every human experiences, well, human, and we can map that. Every person talks to themselves, and we have a voice, and we also have a perspective of who we are, what the world is, who we are in the world, who are others. This is all stemming back to philosophy of what is metaphysics, anthropology, and epistemology. What's the meaning? What's the definition? And what is the other person because of those definitions? It's very basic principles, like 1 plus 1 is 2. It's not 11. So every human goes through those experiences of thought. If you can understand that about yourself, and then you can understand that about the person you're serving, you can bond with them and understand where do we have common ground, where do we see differently and accept those differences, what are we trying to achieve together, and how do we build this rapport and this relationship where, hey, it's actually something that we actually enjoy our conversations. If you're doing consults or working with them, or if you're updating them, or if you're doing a service for them, like you actually enjoy it versus just like it's a transaction. And I think that's a key thing here. With the rise of agents and bots, this is probably going to be superiorly more important in the next 5 years. And maybe some people from Silicon Valley are laughing at me right now, but who cares? Yeah, so you gotta build that relationship, and that's kind of like the way to actually do that tangibly, so that you're not just there with you should do X, Y, and Z, or do this, and this, or my experience. Yeah, the information is great, but when you start sharing the contextual side, the human side, you start to apply it based on your life, based on what you told me. That changes the dynamic. Like that changes the dynamic where you get clients. Like I got an image from a client where he's sharing me photos of his new son, his baby boy. How do you get to that level, right? And it's not because I'm amazing. I'm clearly not. Like I'm just like you. The whole idea is like just practice and just be human, be real. The future of business legitimately is human, regardless of what Optimus, regardless of what robot you're gonna buy in your house and then lease for like at $100, $300 a month to do your dry cleaning or to do your dishes. Whatever your robots are gonna be doing at the house, business will still be human, regardless. That's my slogan for that specifically. So again, being an expert, it's great. Be more than an expert. You can't afford to only be an expert because you will be obliterated when it comes to information. There's too much information out there. The key things that I just mentioned are around, what did I mention? Building rapport. I'll go backwards. Building the relationship, having the results, putting your money where your mouth is. At least is what I do. Showing their best interest in mind when you're executing work for them, when you're working with them. And I'll close with this. One of my clients mentioned this, and early on in our relationship, and just so that you know, like when I work with clients, it's typically at least around 6 months. It typically lasts more than 18 months. LTV is pretty extensive because it's, again, I play the long game and working with them, and obviously the results have to come. But he mentioned that this was pretty interesting. It was in our first 6 weeks working together. He mentioned that we attract people that are like us. Our clients are part of who we are. It's not exactly who you are, but they could be maybe a type or a personality or some sort of different personality of who you are shown in them, and then you can kind of appreciate that about them and appreciate that about yourself and kind of say, oh, that this is why we're working together. Part of, like, obviously the promise and the results of the positioning and your work speaking for itself, but also there's that human factor. And I promise I'd end there, but I actually want to add this second story because I think this is important. I had a client ask me specifically, if I'm competing, let's say if you're competing for two different companies, What's the difference between two of the same companies in the same industry offering the same services? And we went through the roadmap of what the differences are. But one of the key differences are each company, even though they're in the same industry, serving the same clients, selling similar products, if not the same product, and having similar workflows or similar execution, but they're different companies. What's the main difference? It's who they attract. It's who, like, what their branding does, what their values do, who works there, how do they believe. Again, going back to the epistemology, metaphysics, and anthropology. Who am I? Who are you? And what's the definition? And how do I execute my life based on those definitions? And if you see that from a grand picture, if that's what companies, the same thing with humans. Each of us might have similar services, similar execution of the services, similar markets that we're serving, but people are going to be attracted to you versus being attracted to me for very radical differences than they're going to be attracted to me versus working with you. And I think that's part of the thing that you want to leverage if you want to move away from just being an expert. All right, that's what I got for you. Going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, except this week because it's Thanksgiving. If you're into turkey, that's great. If you're not into turkey, like me, eat the ham up, and we'll go from here. We'll see you in the next one.